Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Winners Win podcast. My name is Ted Koka. If this is your first time subscribing or viewing, thank you for being here. For those of you watching, giving comments, I really appreciate it. For most entrepreneurs who've had to raise money before for your business or for your startup, I think the one thing you can really liken this experience to is dating. And I've thought about a lot of the things that happen in the process of you raising money for your startup is very much like the dating process. And just like dating, before you hit the scene, you sort of need to know what you're looking out for. And so one of the things I do is I define the DNA of money I'm looking for. Is much in the same way that you're defining the sort of person you're looking for. And the DNA of money is just you're going out there and you're going to know that just like not everyone who's out in the streets is for me, not all money is good money. All right. So I want to talk about in this episode why raising funds for your startup is the same as dating and how we can get to a process where you're managing at every step of the way. Start by defining the DNA of investor you want, okay? In my case, I tend to look for people I know I could have a healthy relationship with, right? So the first, hey, and there's just really good energies is quite important. The second thing I look for in the DNA of money I look for, and I'm very unapologetic about this, by the way, you need to also understand that in the process of you raising money or dating, you are in control. You get to choose the partner. You get to pick the people that you go on this journey with for the long run. Okay, so you have a lot of agency in what and who you bring along the journey. The second thing is I love subject matter experts who are not necessarily in my field or in the business that I'm raising for. The third is people who have access to really strong networks. That's an important thing because sometimes the network is stronger than the money itself. Getting access quickly is super important. Someone being a phone call away is quite critical when you need something that could be game changing for your business. An existing portfolio of startups is always interesting because there's a lot of synergies you can find within a business. Another critical component I look for is patient money. I don't want investors who are going to be desperate, who are going to seek to remove me as the founder if the journey gets hard, because it will get hard. You want people who believe that the guy who came up with this concept can get us to this point. And there's always going to be different phases of the life cycle, the business life cycle, where you may or may not be the best man for the job, but that's something that shouldn't be forced on you. It's something that people need to understand, that a founder-led business escalates and grows a lot more successfully when the founder is enabled. But as a founder, you also have to protect yourself. Anyway, the last piece is lots of money. All right, that's important. It's linked to the patient money, but it's lots of money because they can keep supporting you. Okay, so here are 8 things about raising money that make you realize you are dating. And on this episode, I want to unlock why raising money feels like Tinder for startups. I know nothing about Tinder, baby, I promise. And how you swipe right on the capital you actually want. Number 1, the profile, AKA your pitch deck. That is your dating app bio, so to speak, okay? So first impressions matter. You've got 30 seconds to signal value, traction, and uniqueness. That's a very, very important thing. Don't oversell, don't undersell either. Investor decks are the Tinder bios with numbers, okay? So that's your number 1 thing. Take care of the profile. Make sure it's super strong. Number 2, the first message. So your outreach email, also known as the DM. All right, so dropping into the DM is quite important. Keep it short. No one likes a love letter before the first date. It's just very off-putting. Personalize your introduction. Prove you've done your homework on them. Right. So I think that's really important. Respect their time, and then just know that this isn't a proposal; it's a conversation starter. That's how you get people to lean in. Number three, the first date, intro meetings or the pitch call itself. You're not asking for money yet. You're checking for the fit. Okay, so be confident, don't be cocky, right? Because there's a fine line between that. Talk about the vision, the market, the movement, not just the monetization. Why is it important? The startup I'm working on now speaks intrinsically to what I believe in, which is how do we elevate people out of poverty, and that's the sort of stuff that you want to walk into the room with. Number four, the vibe check, as it were, right? So do your due diligence on the investors. They will do theirs on you. Make sure you've done yours as well. They're not just reviewing your numbers; they're reviewing you, because oftentimes investors invest in the jockey, not the horse. They need to believe that you're going to be able to drive this or the next thing, or if the business needs to pivot, whatever. It's you they're betting on. Just remember that. Be honest, be clear, and be ready. Be very honest about where your product is. Be very honest about where your revenue is. Be very clear about what you're trying to achieve and what you haven't achieved just yet. You're dating their doubts, as it were. Address them up front. This is the sort of how I might say, answer all the questions before they're asked, right? So when you're in these vibe check due diligence conversations, make sure you know what sort of questions you're going to get. And also, the more investors you speak to, the more questions you become familiar with, and so you start addressing those before. Number five, mixed signals. So after that meeting has happened, you start getting mixed signals. How do you do the follow-up, and how do you do the waiting? A great meeting does not mean a close. That's a very important thing to know. Relationship rules: don't double text. I don't believe in double texting. Usually you can pick up when someone's just not interested. And going after that person is the wrong thing to do, because they're the wrong person for you. They're the wrong investor for you. I feel like this is both a dating episode and a money raising episode, but the twain are very similar. The terms matter, right? So does alignment, right? So if it's dragging, they're probably not that into you or your business. Silence is also feedback. So learn to read the room. That's an important thing. Number six, the proposal. This is the term sheet. This is now things are getting serious. Make sure that you are very crystal clear on your terms, and that their terms are aligned to your terms as well. You need to ask, do I want to build a company with this person for the next 5 to 10 years? And when I say with this person, I mean with this person involved, right? Because they do, for the most part, begin to play either an active or a passive role, one of which will or will not benefit you in the long run. It's not just about the money. It's about who's holding your hand in the storm, if I can put it that way. Things get really rocky when you're running your business. Being able to phone your investor for advice without feeling like you're vulnerable to them, criticizing you as an entrepreneur is very important, right? So that goes back to the whole relationship thing. Can you talk to them about when things get hard? And I think that's an important thing. Number seven, generally to be avoided, but it's called the breakup, as it were, when they say no and you just haven't been able to align on things. It's not always about you. Sometimes the mandate doesn't fit. Sometimes the timelines don't fit. Sometimes the money is just not there. They will find very diplomatic ways to say it, but pay attention and you'll know that these people either do not have the money or they do not have the money now. It's important not to be forceful during that time. Don't take it personal. Just make it professional. And one of the ways to do this is if you're trying to raise $1 million, your pipeline should be extensively more than that. Sorry for using such a big number, but you understand the basis of what I'm trying to communicate. And even in that rejection, thank them, learn from it, and then keep it moving. Again, take nothing personal. Your list should be so long that you are immediately calling the next person and the next person. How they treat you in the courting phase is often very indicative of, how they behave in general. And then once you have your green flag investor, this is number 8. These are people who believe in you. They believe in your mission. They add more than money to the ecosystem. Like I said earlier, it's networks, it's insights, and it's credibility. Look out for those. And then respect your leadership. They respect your leadership. They believe in you. They believe in your vision for the company. I often say founders create the value. The investors enable the creation of the value. So don't get the two confused. If you're raising money, do not let the investor tell you which direction the business should go. Stick to your guns because you've spent so much time in the idea maze. It's important for you to be resilient as far as that's concerned. And then when it feels easy, that's usually a good sign. It's easy to speak to people. It's easy to have conversation about difficult things, etc. Those are really good signs. And in closing, I need you to remember this. Raising money is like dating. You show too much interest too early and they ghost you. You've got to be desirable, not available. Investors want you to need them, but not too much. So find that balance. And then just like dating, you're selling the dream, not the spreadsheet. That's it. I think that this was something super strong I wanted to communicate. I'm going through the process now myself, and so I think it's relevant that I'm sharing these things because I'm thinking about them. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Share what some of your experiences have been in this whole dating, fundraising ecosystem. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Winners win.